I think their ability to take away the football is also what jumps out about Illinois. They're one of the nation's leaders in forced turnovers. And Nebraska, on the flip side, has only turned it over twice on offense all year.
I'm Jayson Jorgensen. It is time for another edition of HuskerChat. We're talking Husker football with Sean Callahan of Husker Online. Nebraska undefeated. Big top 25 matchup this week at home with a big Friday night matchup against Illinois. Sean, thanks for joining us. Here we go. Biggest game at Memorial Stadium in a while.
Yeah, it's the first ranked-on-ranked matchup since the 2014 Minnesota game when the Gophers were ranked 25th in the playoff poll. Nebraska, I believe, was 22nd or 23rd. So a similar matchup to this. Then before that, UCLA in 2013 was a ranked-on-ranked game. And so we haven't had a lot of these games in Lincoln, in over a decade. So to get one in September of Matt Rule's second year, things are right on schedule. And what an opportunity now, national television on Fox, to play a team that you've had some good success on over a year ago, and you get them here in Lincoln now in a night game atmosphere. It really does set up nicely, I think, for the Huskers here on Friday.
How much momentum do you feel that Nebraska has going into this one? There's been some gnashing of the teeth about the way the Huskers have played in the second halves, but still, by and large, they've done some good things, and they have certainly looked much improved.
Yeah, Matt Rule is not really worried about the beauty contests. I mean, they have 28 guys on defense that have played over 20 snaps in 3 games. So that he wants to develop and play a lot of players. They held out Jamari Butler last week. Mekhi Bear was out for the first half. I mean, and they kept their fronts on defense pretty basic. They weren't really loading the box up. They're playing the run with 5 and 6 man boxes. That won't be the case going forward. I think you'll see them be much more aggressive with their run fronts and the run fits and what they do. Northern Iowa came out with a good plan too. Give them credit. They had a good game plan to slow things down, but for all the shoveling they did, they only got 3 points. I mean, you can gnash your teeth, but they scored 3 points. Nebraska scored 34, and they made it look pretty effortless, to be honest.
Today, we're joined by Sean Callahan of Husker Online as we previewed the Nebraska-Illinois matchup. About this Illinois team, some thought maybe they were regressing at the end of last year. It wasn't as good as the year before, but certainly they made a statement in week 2 when they were able to bump off Kansas.
Yeah, that win got a lot of people's attention. I think their ability to take away the football is also what jumps out about Illinois. They're one of the nation's leaders in forced turnovers. And Nebraska, on the flip side, has only turned it over twice on offense all year. An early fumble by Dante Dowdell against UTEP, and then last week's interception, which you can't really be too upset about. It was really a 50-50 ball that Jalen Lloyd looked like he had and then got pulled out of his hands on the way down to the ground. So the efficiency and the management of this offense has been outstanding through 3 games. Something's going to have to give in this game. Nebraska, though, that's been a real strength, and Raiola has not made those mistakes. Another impressive stat is the offensive line has not been charged with a sack yet this year. They've given up the 1 sack as a team, but it was not an O-line sack because it was a broken play and a miscommunication by Raiola that led to the sack. So you have to be really pleased with what we've seen early from this offensive line and the improvements they've made in protecting Raiola and eliminating some of those possible turnover opportunities.
About the challenge this week for the Black Shirts, Illinois is not real flashy on offense. In many ways, they're trying to do the same type of things that the Huskers are.
Yeah, Illinois, Luke Altmaier is a mobile guy in some respects. He will be able to get those 3rd and 7 type runs if you have the play covered up. So they have to be ready for his ability to scramble and be like Northern Iowa last week. They had a quarterback that did the same thing in that sense. Not an elite running team. I would say the strength of this team is on the receiving group. So can Nebraska lock down those receivers? The good news is the Huskers have seen as good of a receiving team in the country as Colorado as far as what their top 3 receivers are, and they held up really well against one of the best passing teams in college football. So I think they're prepared for this. It's a matter of the early down success. That was probably the most disappointing thing last week is Nebraska has given up 4 or 5 yards on a lot of first down runs. They cannot afford to do that here as conference play begins.
You have been at this a while. You've covered Husker football a while. The 400th consecutive sellout. That in itself is just an impressive streak, especially when you can, you consider the, Husker football's at times has been lost in the wilderness the last 20 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of things impressive about the sellout streak, but what it really does is it connects the Devaney era to today, and it's a connecting point of kind of this modern history of Nebraska football and where this program's come, and it speaks to the fan base, and that through the highs and the lows, they've sold this place out since 1962, and that football team connects this state every single Saturday in every way, whether it's here in the stadium, on a tractor, wherever. I mean, there are people everywhere that follow this team, and it means so much. And that sellout streak defines the meaning of what this team is to Nebraska more than anything out there. And it's quite a mile. When you think about 400, Jayson, it takes 30 years to get, over 200. So just the milestone to get to 400 is remarkable when you think about it's been, 60 plus years to get to this day. And here we are Friday.
Well, it is certainly an incredible streak, and hopefully Friday night is a night to remember for Husker football. Sean, as always, we appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks, Jayson.
That was Sean Callahan of Husker Online, joining us as he does every week for HuskerChat, once again, Nebraska and Illinois. We'll kick it off 7 o'clock. For HuskerChat, I'm Jayson Jorgensen.